You know what I learned today?
What'd
I
you learn?
learned when you're trying to be a responsible adult, how hard it is to get rid of a mattress.
Oh
What?
yeah,
Because
yeah, it
I'm
is.
28 now, and my wife made fun of me because I called our apartment buildings office. I was like, hey, I've seen people do it before. I'm sure it's not the proper way. Like, am I allowed to just leave my mattress out by the dumpster? And they were like, no, you have to go over here. It's this whole thing. I'm like, oh fuck, man. Like
Yeah.
me, like 5 years ago, I would have just in the dead of night put that
Just
fucking mattress
thrown
out
it
there.
out
I'm
there.
just, yeah, like I'm responsible adult and shit now. I'm like, excuse me, where can I leave this mattress? And they're like, you have to hike up a hill. You gotta walk a fucking quarter of a mile. And we have this dumpster for assholes over there. That's where you can leave it.
See,
Piece of shit. Just
I
like,
grew
all
up
right.
in bumfuck nowhere, so anything that should probably be thrown out is kept for a rainy day, and that rainy day never ever comes.
Or
There was
if there is no salvaging it, fire. Just burn it.
Yeah, we're not allowed
It's
to do
true.
that here. When
We're
when I
not
was living
allowed
in,
to
like,
do it
upstate
here
New
either.
York, that's
Nobody should
oh, well,
do
I mean,
that.
all of my relatives up in upstate New York, they don't have like municipal trash pickup or anything because like their closest neighbor are the Amish that are like 2 miles up the road.
Yeah,
So
that's around here as
they
well.
burn trash. They burn their trash. You can't really do that inside of the city limits here, where I'm currently living. But
It'll be
no,
real
I
easy
mean,
to
God,
figure out who the lit that thing on
yeah,
fire, right?
exactly.
People try to react to that has been a lot of, you probably shouldn't burn that. You really shouldn't burn that. No, that's a bad idea. Hello and welcome to Star Wars Every Week Forever, the podcast in which we watch one Star Wars movie every week forever. This week, The Empire Strikes Back. I almost forgot what movie we were on.
Which number is it, Jay? Huh?
5!
Which number is that, Ben?
Okay, cool.
See, when I forget, it's the whole title, not just a portion of the
just the
title.
number.
That's
No, I
the
remember
number.
the whole title. It was
You just
the
didn't
number.
remember the number, which is fucking wild to me.
There was a point today where I had to. It took a second to remember. I was sitting here. I had to watch the movie while I was doing D&D prep because I've run out of time. I've had a busy day. And I had to. It took me a little longer than it should have to remember what movie we were on.
So how was your watch?
Yeah, it was all right. It was fine. Nothing new to report. I don't know. It's Empire. It's a good
Nothing
movie.
new to report.
I'm sick of it.
It's a good movie. I'm sick of it.
It's a good movie, and I'm entirely fucking sick of it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. Ben, how was your watch?
It was good. That's it.
That's it? It was good?
It's this.
The long silences this episode.
Yeah.
This rotation has come back around where I'm weirdly feeling nostalgic about Star Wars for no reason.
You watch it every week.
I know, but like I was just like I watched this time and I was like, dang, I remember when I was a kid and these movies were like the shit.
Yeah. It should be slightly nostalgic because this we're not making a big deal out of it. We just did the 100 episode spectacular a couple weeks ago, but this is our second anniversary.
Was it a spectacular?
For me to edit it was.
Well,
it was a spectacular nightmare, yeah.
Yeah.
And a joy, but also a nightmare.
It's a labor of love.
And it was also a nightmare for my computer that does not like editing moving images. I will tell you what. I watched this in 4 parts because I just
4.
did not. Yeah, well, okay, so I was busy this week, and by I was busy, I mean I was playing Dragon Age Origins, and I just did not want to sit there for 2 hours and watch a movie. I deeply preferred to like not do that, so I watched it in 4 parts over the course of 3 days. That's how I consumed Empire.
That's entirely fair.
I watched 2 parts on Thursday. I watched 1 part on Friday, and then I watched 1 part today as I ate breakfast and hated Star Wars. It was a fine watch. If I morally could watch it this way all the time, I don't think I'd ever have bad watches. But I really think it would be wrong if I start setting this precedent all the
I
time.
mean,
No,
that's how I held it together for so long when we first started, because I legitimately couldn't watch in one sitting most weeks.
No, here's the thing, and here's something I don't think we've explored. Star Wars Every Week Forever is the title. All right.
Mhm.
As long as Star Wars is being consumed within that week, I think it still fits the parameters. You could break that shit up. You could watch a little bit of it every single day if you wanted to. Just 5 days in a row. You know, we usually record on like Saturdays these days, Friday or Saturday. You just watch like, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. You make your Star Wars watches episodic. A 6 episode series, if you
6 episodes spectacular, a 6
A
episode
6 episode event.
special, a
Yeah.
6 episode event. Are you tired of hearing it? A 6 episode event. God.
You could have a 6 episode event every week, Jay. You break it down and you watch little bits and pieces here and there. You watch like 20 minutes at a time and you turn it off. It
I would
probably
rather
leaves you on some crazy ass cliffhangers.
I would prefer to 6 episode end myself.
Is it a cliffhanger if you already know everything that's gonna happen?
Yeah, that's the problem. I got Chris so hard on that. I really shouldn't be allowed to make those jokes because I harass Ben about making those jokes all the time. But when it came across my head, I was like, I gotta. One of the hallmarks, I think, of this show is us flip-flopping on topics all the time. Like,
Us?
we'll feel a very specific way, and then we will slightly change from that, and then we'll do a complete 180, and then we'll 180 again back to the original point with wild abandon and like no validity whatsoever. I had that happen this week. I think people were too hard on Han Solo in this movie, specifically when he's not being a creep, when he's trying to take care of his the mark on his head. I think I'm back to thinking that people were a little too hard on Han wanting to leave the rebellion to go take care of the mark on his head.
I mean, the only people who were really hard on him were Leia, pretty much.
Yeah. Leia was too hard on him.
Everyone else was like,
that's,
okay, yeah, go do what you
yeah.
need to do. And Leia's like,
Luke-
oh,
Everybody
I
else
see
does
you're
that.
leaving. He's just like,
Everybody else is really understanding.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
but-
man, go take care of what you need. Like,
We
thanks for
don't-
helping out. See you around.
Luke seemed to not be okay with it, but he also wasn't being an overt asshole about it. Leia was being too hard on Han. Also,
Luke,
I'm
I think,
losing
was-
faith in this argument now.
No, I think Luke was like kind of bummed out about it. Like, oh, my friend, my buddy, he's leaving. Okay, but I get it. You go do what you do. Leia was like, how dare you?
yeah,
How fucking dare you?
we fucking need you here. And he's like, I need to go make sure I don't get assassinated.
Yeah. I mean, I recognize.
Also, let me grab you really creepily.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I was bouncing back. The realization that it was just Leia, and then Han treats Leia like shit in this movie. So
That's
yeah,
even-
no,
that's
I'm
even
back.
more
I've done a
reason
180.
where-
It would be so much better if the whole time Han was like, all right, I'm leaving. And Leia would have just been like, all right, please do. And the whole time it's just him trying to get Leia to be
Yeah.
like just totally flip
That
the
would've-
script. Instead of Leia wanting him to stay, he's trying to
Yeah.
get Leia to say that when she really doesn't.
That would have been a much better way to do this scene.
I mean, I get what Kirshner was going for, or George, whoever it was, when they were creating that argument. Like, it was a combination of redoing that Han will take off at any given moment, and also they're two old white men who can't think of a relationship that isn't built on the back of arguments. So I get it.
Also it's Harrison Ford, who's
Yeah.
I love Harrison Ford, but all of his characters are gross misogyny incarnate.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he is typecast.
I love the Indiana Jones movies, but Jesus Christ, go
I
watch one of those.
I've watched like the
Go
first
watch
one, and
Blade
that's
Runner.
it. Blade Runner for sure, yeah.
God,
Great
Well,
movie,
I used to,
but
well, I still love Blade Runner, but like I used to love Blade Runner as a kid, and now I watch it, I'm like, oh, this is cool, but very gross.
I mean,
That's interesting.
Blade Runner. I mean, that's that one's a little bit more overt because it's kind of part of the point of Blade Runner.
Yeah.
It's all about the exploitive tendencies of
Blade Runner is
the
self-aware.
cyberpunk genre. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to start the internet argument of whether or not Blade Runner is cyberpunk or not, but
Yeah,
think
no,
if
I'm
People
not.
are arguing about that?
Yeah,
there's
they always have been. Yeah.
lots of cyberpunk purists who are like, it's not cyberpunk, it's cyberpunk.
Oh my
Fucking
god.
calm down.
There's also a lot of cyberpunk purists that are like, it's not weeb, so therefore not cyberpunk.
Oh god.
Weeb invented cyberpunk, and I'm like, you're right. What's the line from The Big Lebowski? You're not wrong. You're just an asshole.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking, but that's just your opinion, man.
No, they're right, but they're being assholes too. I don't know, man. I'm surprised that you watched Blade Runner as a kid, because Blade Runner feels like one of those movies that you're told to watch and you don't check out until you're an adult.
No, I mean me and my dad when I was growing up always like when I still had a very good relationship with my dad. And I don't have a bad relationship with my dad, but it's definitely not as good as it used to be, mostly because he rotted his brain with Fox News. But anyway, me and my dad would when we got like our super big like TV package we have now, he'd have like all the movie channels saved. And like there would be a period of a month where just anytime one particular movie was on, he'd be like, Ben, come on, Blade Runner's on, or Ben, come on, Fifth Element's on, and we'd always just sit there and watch it. Like
I have a,
5 times within 1 month.
I now
very
understand why you hate watching movies. It's associated trauma.
Yeah. I have a
Oh,
very
shit.
distinct memory of when the big ridiculous collector's edition director's cut of Blade Runner came out on DVD that had like the 4 separate versions of the movie
I was gonna
because
say
there were
'cause
like
that movie was
4
recut,
separate
like, 10
director's cut.
times.
Yeah. I remember my father getting that DVD and being so goddamn excited, and I think it was like 20 minutes of him going through and looking at the 4 things and trying to figure out which one was like the realist, purest, like most complete version of that movie, and it was just confusing with the way it was worded, and it was like, what's happening here? This perhaps is too much.
I prefer any version that doesn't have the fucking voiceover narration because
Yeah.
that just reads as a movie not trusting its audience so fucking much.
Well, that was
Well,
hi,
it's,
welcome to Blade Runner every week forever.
Yeah.
That was a studio overhead decision.
Yeah.
Well, it's it also gives it that like noir feel, which they were going for pretty heavily.
Yeah, but it didn't. It definitely didn't need it. And
Yeah, it didn't need it. No. I don't know.
And
Blade
I
Runner's,
love-
I'm
I
a big
love-
fan of Blade Runner.
I love sci-fi and noir so fucking much. Do
Yeah.
more sci-fi and noir, but it was already kind of branching out into its own thing. My dad likes Top Gun. Star Wars.
What about it?
We have to talk about it now.
We do?
Do we?
Unfortunately.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Look,
I'm
this
hiding.
is our
If you
2-year
say we've done our
anniversary of-
time again.
No, this is our 2-year anniversary of talking about Star Wars as little as we possibly can on our Star
Absolutely
Wars podcast.
doing
right?
everything we can.
Yeah.
We've been doing good this rotation, and this episode is the most off we've been.
I
Yeah.
don't want to
Because
eat
we've
my
been so
Brussels
on.
sprouts, Mom.
Eat your
All
goddamn
right.
Brussels sprouts.
Look, we've been
I'm a
so
grown
on.
up.
Sometimes we need to just.
No,
I'm
we don't have a
making
choice.
hand motions on our audio podcast again.
Speaking
I
of-
apologize.
Speaking of Star Trek, I was struck. There's
Let's talk
We
about
gotta talk
Star
about
Wars.
Star Wars.
Speaking of Star
Speaking of
Trek,
See, this is how. Just watch. There's an
She
episode of
gets
Next Generation. There's actually a few episodes of Next Generation, but there's one specifically where Data's brother Lore is trying to replace Data within the, not biological brother, but they were both built by the same person and they both look alike, so on and so forth, but Lore has emotions and Data doesn't. Lore was attempting to replace Data on the Enterprise. And they turn Data off. They show that Data has a button on him to turn him off that nobody knows about. Following that episode, very, very rarely, I think it only happens once, he'll tell someone where it is in case something happens and he's worried about something happening to him. But it's treated as something extremely private to him. Like, it's treated with the respect of this is a living, breathing creature, and their right to autonomy is increasingly important. And I was struck by this while I watched this movie, and Han Solo just flipped C-3PO off as if it was fucking nothing. Yeah. I was struck by that so fucking hard this time.
Yeah. Having never, again, the guy who's never seen a single episode of Star Trek, where is this button?
I
it's
also
like,
was wondering.
If I remember correctly, it's like under the collar, back of the neck.
Okay.
So they have to like Vulcan neck bench him to turn him off?
Basically, it's like a section, if I remember correctly, it's like a section of skin that like indents in to turn off. It's like the rubber buttons. Sometimes on Kids' Choice, they'll put a rubber piece over a button that you kind of push down. That's the impression I always got, but I think that's around where it is because it can be hidden under clothes, so on and so forth. But it's treated with like autonomy, like this is part of your body. It would be deeply wrong for anyone to just grab and turn it off. And that's what I was struck with when Han Solo just flipped off.
Han and Rey are just walking around turning off droids fucking willy-nilly.
Rey?
Yeah, remember in the fucking book.
Kill me.
Yep.
In this fucking, in case you just kind of like didn't see last week's episode, in this fucking book that Ben read in the 4th rotation.
I feel like you've brought up these books like almost every episode this rotation.
Yes.
Is this a bit you're doing? Ben, is this a bit you're
doing?
No.
Ben, is this a bit you're doing?
As they become relevant, I just bring them up.
No,
Ben, they never become relevant. I need you to understand.
You force them into relevancy.
Jay, we force this podcast into relevancy.
This podcast isn't relevant. What are you fucking talking about?
No.
The undertitle of this podcast is Star Wars Every Week Forever. Entirely irrelevant.
Just 3 dweebs putting stupid opinions out into the void.
Opinions that we self-admit are stupid. Because we watch Star Wars Every Week Forever. No, you look for your openings. It's a less purposeful pod race. Because you're not doing it to
pod races.
Yeah. It's a less purposeful pod racing bit. Because you're not looking to piss us off when you bring up the book. But you are looking for any moment you can fit them in ever.
Because I don't want to waste the fucking... However many hours of audio I sat through getting through these books.
Ben, I need you to know that I still have multiple pages of notes that I haven't brought up from the special features because I don't want to keep bringing up the special features all the time, and also I don't want to go back and read through the notes, but mostly because I don't want to keep bringing them all up all the time, and I want you to be aware that this bit is not necessary. I appreciate you doing it. It's deeply funny, but also deeply annoying, you little shit.
So you're saying it's working.
So this fucking book...
Yeah, when Unkar Plutt's like, hey, how much for the little robot? I'll pay you. And she's like, And she just reaches down and fucking turns off BB-8. She's like, how much are we talking here?
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. That's kind of... I don't like... The more I hear about that book... Which was
on topic. May the record show.
Not to take away from Han Solo being a dickhead, I would argue that situation is... way worse.
Way worse.
No. I'm actually, you know what? Yeah.
When you're turning a droid off to haggling to sell
it. You're right. It took a second for my brain to because what I was about to say is based on all word of that book. the Force Awakens book, I hate the way Rey is presented in that book.
Oh yeah, Rey's
Every time it's brought up, I hate it.
Rey's kind of a piece of shit in at least the opening of that book. She kind of like becomes more in line with how she's portrayed in the movie toward the end, but to start, she's something.
Like, Han's situation that's fucked up, but at least, like, there's a lot of shit going on. He's trying to cut straight. It's like, there's shit. It's like, all right, just stop. You know, Rey, it's like, let me turn you off for a second so you don't know that I'm haggling to possibly sell you.
So that I'm not bartering to sell you. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
I mean,
Totally
but that's in line for how Star Wars treats fucking droids,
I know.
sadly.
And the only droid liberationist droid is dead because Solo is a bad movie.
Yeah. I don't, like... It's getting harder as I get older and as more stuff comes out and, like, there's no murmurings of, like, these people are the heroes of these movies, and they view some of their closest companions as just not
Items.
living, breathing things. Like, I mean, not breathing necessarily, but, like, living things with
Not
a personality
sentient.
and memories. And yeah, like...
Even the most understanding of humans, like the most accepting of droids humans in these movies, any kind of Star Wars canon, still treat droids like glorified pets.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, that's the nicest version of people in Star Wars are the ones who are like, well, this is my best friend, my cute little whatever, but it's still like, it's like a pet, you know?
Yeah. It's weird. It's certainly weird.
Well, with a slight... I mean...
If you're about to
I
say
don't know.
Leia, I think the movie we just watched disproves that.
No. I mean, Cassian Andor might be one of the few, like...
Shining
Yes!
beacons of
Slight.
respecting droids.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Like,
talk
there's a
down to
little
droids
bit
either.
there,
Like,
like-
it's...
Yeah, it's the vibe is very much him and K2SO are kind of like mutuals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Cassian treats K2 like some. All right, you are a fellow rebel officer
Yeah.
and a friend, and I've seen you go through the shit. And it's not easy to get Cassian's respect either. But
Well, I don't know if a lot of people would want Cassian's respect, to be fair.
probably not. But yeah, he treats. Yeah, he probably treats K2 better than.
I'm kind of getting excited for this Andor show, and I had like no
Yes,
interest in
thank
it
you.
previously. Cause like
I'm not gonna watch it,
Cassian-
but of the projects, that's the one I'm
Yeah.
excited for.
Cassian Andor is one of the closest I feel like we've gotten to a type of character from the EU where it's like he doesn't need to be like this super good beacon of like he's kind of a sketchy douchebag.
He's a little scummy, yeah.
Yeah, like, and it's kind of how a lot of the characters in the EU. I mean, God, when we first pick up with Kyle Katarn in those games, he's not exactly, you know,
An upstanding
on the straight and
citizen.
narrow. Yeah,
Cassian Andor is a well-written, actually good Jagged Fell, but rebel.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And without the flirtation. Like, that's Cassian Andor, and that's why I love Cassian Andor. I think that character's a way better character than anybody gives him credit for. Also, I don't know if I brought this up in the Rogue One episode, but, hey, Star Wars fans, y'all should probably learn that over-the-top acting is not necessary in everything. Sometimes you can express an emotion or a feeling without overdoing it, because that's all I heard when that movie came out. All I heard
What,
is
was
that
that
they're
the
not
acting
going
wasn't-
far enough. They're not going big enough with their acting. I'm like, some of the biggest moments in the history of cinema are underplayed. That's why you're playing to a camera and not an audience. When you play to an audience,
Yeah.
everything has to be big. When you're playing towards a camera, smaller is often better, unless your name is Ian McDermott, in which case just go fucking nuts.
Go
In
big.
which case, whatever you want, no notes.
No notes. Whatever you fucking want.
I have strong opinions about the Star Wars fan base this week.
I have strong opinions about the Star Wars
Nice.
fan base in general.
Well,
Yeah, there's never a time in which I don't have strong feelings on the Star Wars fan base.
Just the really vocal ones. The good ones tend to just be kind of quiet, and it's a shame because I'd love for people to be yelling at these assholes, but you can tell what a straight white guy audience this had.
I mean, God, it was. I remember talking to a few people when Star Wars, like the official Star Wars Twitter account, put out the tweet, defending the actress that plays Reva in the
Reva,
Obi-Wan
okay.
series,
Yeah.
and I don't remember her name off the top of my head. I apologize. I'm horrible with names.
Moses Ingram?
Yeah,
Yes.
Holy shit.
sounds right.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this is a monumental moment that Ben remembered somebody's name.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting a gold star for that one.
I will bring you a gold star.
Remind me in a second. I got to circle back to something, but I thought it was hilarious when they put that tweet out. Not hilarious, but like it was really
It was
really showed
funny
a
but
closing in of
depressing.
that Venn diagram between Star Wars fans and wrestling fans when like all of the replies to that tweet were just like outraged people like, oh, this is stupid. Why would you even make this tweet? Stay out of it's not politics and get like what the fuck, man.
But the difference is, if it was a wrestling company, they would be saying like the worst shit humanly possible, and all of the replies would be people saying like, that's morally fucked up. Why would you say this thing? Whereas with Star Wars fans, and yes, I'm saying that Star Wars fans are worse than wrestling fans. That's where I'm at apparently today. They say one morally right and honest thing.
Yeah.
They say, hey guys, don't be racist pieces of shit.
And then it's just, I'm offended by the fact that you won't let me be a racist piece of shit.
Yeah. Like maybe cool it. It's like, maybe cool it on the racist death threats for a bit, guys, and then it's just nothing but outrage,
Why would you say that to me?
Happening?
Maybe it's because we're in it. Like, we're constantly in that fan base, whether we like it or not, but it really does seem like it has the largest cis white racist fucking fan base.
Just, like I'm on TikTok a lot, and there's this one content creator I followed who was just like this puppet who did lore videos, and it was cool. And then they uploaded one video about Disney's homosexual agenda in Star Wars, and shit hit the fan real fucking quick. And now they deleted their fucking account because everyone was like, dude, what the fuck?
Oh, man.
There was no clue any of that shit was going down until
whoever that is, fuck them.
I was just talking to like a coworker the other day, and I was like, look, I don't know how it happened, but I got stuck. Like, I'm really engaged in two communities, the Star Wars community and the wrestling community, and I somehow picked the two worst fucking things to be fully immersed into the community of.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting.
I mean, that's like me with 40K. It's like I don't play 40K or anything, but I love the lore of it. And there is just a lot of people don't realize that 40K is a satire of fascism and not actually like, hey, xenophobia is okay.
Yeah, there are some opinions. There are some opinions in that community, for sure.
There is a conversation in the Dragon Age fandom that I'll just like dip my toes into every once in a while in that fandom. I'll do once a year. I absolutely do some kind of BioWare playthrough because I'm a bitch and they can slap me around and I'm cool with it. So every once in a while I'll kind of dip my toes in the Dragon Age community, and there was a conversation going on about the Maker. The Maker is one of the many religious figures in that world, and there's also an elven pantheon, so on and so forth. The two other pantheons, which were in that world, have been proven to be they're just really powerful mages, or they're just Titanus creatures. And then there's this very Catholic Christian god. And they were kind of talking about, do you think the Maker's like actually in a god, or are they just some kind of mage, or what's going on there? And there was just a long conversation of one guy going, I think the Maker is the embodiment of faith, and going, I don't really like that. And he's basically, and
That's a bit cliche at this point.
The deeper into the conversation I got, the more it became. At one point deep in the conversation, he was like, I don't like this because you took all of these other religions that are equally valid, and the one that is Christian is the one that is real. I think that's kind of cheap and progressive. And it was like, well, it depends on the lore. Like, for example, I think Tolkien's presentation of orcs, and that's when you realize that maybe just in general fandoms are filled with like these secretive reply guys that are just kind of awful and don't understand the thing that they're talking about.
As a lover of Lord of the Rings lore, when anyone brings up anything about the Tolkien orcs, that's a yikes from me.
There's a weird thing with fantasy in general, and Star Wars is a fantasy story. We've talked about this a whole lot. It's not sci-fi, it's fantasy. And droids kind of those are the angry fans yelling at me for calling Star Wars fantasy.
I just got a call from the Dragon Age guy I argued with. That I'm sorry, I don't have time right now. Keep being a nerd. Anyway,
there's like a weird thing where like nobody, and it's, you know, I don't know. I have a thing at this point where it's kind of like I'm looking for escapism in a lot of ways. Like if you look at most fantasy worlds, Elder Scrolls is a big example of it, even though it's kind of under the surface unless you really pay attention or visit certain areas. Like there's always an outgroup, you know? Any fantasy world builder there's always an outgroup. It's like, well, in this world we treat the elves like shit, you know, if you're talking about like Dragon Age or you know, in
Witcher.
Fucking in The Witcher, you know, it's the elves are also treated like shit, you know. It's like there's always an outgroup. Elder Scrolls, it's the dark elves, you know, and you know.
Well, and even in Elder Scrolls, it kind of depends on where you are too.
Well, yeah. Exactly.
And in Elder Scrolls, anybody that's not like elven or human is kind of treated like shit all the time. Even in Morrowind, like Argonians are kept as slaves. So
I'm trying to remember the name of the city in the game I've been playing for over a decade. There's that city you go and there's like a murder mystery and like everyone assumes it was like one of the dark elves, and it's just like the dark elves are like the outgroup in that city.
Oh, and it's like, all right, Windhelm?
But,
Windhelm. Sure. I guess it's Windhelm. Yeah, I thought it was must be Windhelm. Yeah, because Solitude is the one Solitude is the Empire one, and
Solitude's the one way up north. It's
I know,
it's the other one.
I'm an Oblivion
the other end.
Nerd. I know everything about Oblivion. I have too much of Oblivion in my head to remember anything else.
Whatever city Ulfric stays at.
Yeah, that's
his city.
Windhelm.
It's like there's this thing in fantasy. Doesn't matter what fucking fantasy. There's always the outgroup. You know, in Star Wars, there's a lot of outgroups actually, but droids are the one that really sticks out a lot of the time.
The outgroups the outgroup is the aliens and the robots.
Yeah. I mean, we don't talk about it a lot, but we do have a main character in Star Wars that's in 7 of the 9 movies that doesn't talk, and the creator of the franchise says, "This was my dog. This character was my dog. This is the living embodiment of my bipedal dog."
When in reality, Chewbacca's one of the smartest characters of the group, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's an unfortunate thing, and I think it carries over from fantasy into Star Wars, because Star Wars is fantasy, it's not sci-fi, it's fantasy. And in general, fantasy, it's really easy to fall into the trap of creating a marginalized group that is you're also taking advantage for humor, or just making an evil race, which is just fucking morally incomprehensive. I believe we brought up Ari Salvatore on this show because of these fucking books, which he can go fuck himself too. And that attitude bleeds over into droids and aliens in this series so much, but especially droids.
I really want to one day just, and he's fairly active on Facebook of all places. I want to one day like just catch R.A. Salvatore and be like, hey, Mr. Salvatore, uh, I don't want to know the motivation behind killing Chewbacca because I don't really care about that. I want to know the motivation behind doing it by dropping a fucking moon on him.
Yeah.
Was he too powerful for you to kill? Did you have to
This
drop
is
a
the
moon on
only
him
way.
while children watched?
To a certain extent, I respect the fuck out of that.
Like kind of. It's
a power
the point where like
Without
it's
a doubt, it's a
power
power move.
All right,
Power
Salvatore
move.
walked into the Star Wars fan base and said, "I got one
Yeah.
book. Let me make this as memorable as humanly possible."
Like,
and
I
you
wanna
know, don't piece of shit, but credit to you.
I want to know the reaction, like when he sent it off to the editor, and the editor came back with, "You dropped a moon on Chewbacca."
Excuse me, I think you have a big
They're letting you write
typo
a Star
here. It
Wars
says,
book.
it says death by moon or something
Death
along
by
those lines.
Moon, two children
Death by Moon.
watch.
Yeah.
Or was it three?
Like,
Was Ben with them?
I wasn't
Or
there.
no.
I think
Ben was
I'm trying to
Anakin
remember.
with
I
them?
think,
I don't know.
I
I
think
wasn't
Anakin was
there.
with them. I thought Tenel Ka and Lobaka were with them too.
My God, Lobaka was
Yeah.
there, wasn't he?
Okay, we're almost at the end of the podcast. Can we just talk about a couple of EU characters we missed? Because I've been thinking about this a lot lately.
Tenel Ka.
Tenel
Every
Ka.
day.
I thought it was Tenel Kai as a kid. I thought that's what it was, but it's obviously not. I can't think of anything more fitting to end our 2-year anniversary than just talking about EU characters we meet.
It's like the podcast live forum version of our old canon memorial tab on in our private Discord server.
Private Discord, there is a tab that's just called Old Canon Memorial.
And we never use it anymore, but
we just occasionally go in there and get sad.
That was more just the coping with the Disney purchase once we realized we were going to talk about Star Wars regularly.
You know a character that I really miss that didn't get a lot of love that I really wish had somehow survived?
Lumpy?
Sabasabatin. The Barabel Jedi?
Oh!
Yeah. Do you remember?
It's ringing a bell, but I can't.
Was one of...
I thought you were. I thought you were talking about. I thought you were talking about Jorah Sabath for a moment.
No, but I do miss Jorah Sabath.
I do miss Jorah Sabath.
Just crazy ass old wizard.
Also crazy ass old wizard in Outbound Flight, where he basically is responsible for this increasing panic on that ship until the entire place. He goes literally fucking insane, and the entire place collapses around on itself. But no, Sabasabatin, she fucking rocked. She was she wasn't a Trandoshan, but she kind of resembled what I think a Trandoshan Jedi's like journey would be.
She wasn't a Trandoshan?
No, she was a Barabel. Very different.
Okay. Similar aesthetically, but
Sabasabatin was like one of those characters, like it was one of those characters where this was not a person that you would see as a Jedi. Very angry, very emotional, but it's someone that's fighting so hard to be a Jedi that you have to respect them. They're trying so hard to get themselves like stable and give themselves to this doctrine that I believe she actually ends up talking out against the Jedi as they become a little more gray too, where she's like, no, this is a path that we shouldn't follow. It's just, I find Jedi that have to fight themselves to stay to the light rather than Jedi that
just kind of
I find those rather than characters that end up falling because of that, very interesting. Sabasabatin is somebody I miss. Kreia, Darth Kreia.
Yeah, I don't think to any at least somewhat regular listener that will be a surprise coming from Jay, because Jay always talks about how well written Trey is, and correctly.
Well,
I'm not disagreeing at all.
Fantastically written character. You know that. I mean, there's a reason that to this day the Knights of the Old Republic games are so well spoken of, and why I'm shitting bricks over this remake.
And then obviously the best Kotar character out of the two games, Jolie Bindo. Jolie Bindo is. I love that old man so fucking much. I love Jolie Bindo so fucking much, man. He's just this old cranky had it gray Jedi that it's just like, you will fucking let me ramble because I have earned it, god damn it. But like in the end, despite being gray, he's basically a begrudging Jedi anyway. Jolie Bindo fucking rocks. You got any?
Well, Bane is the obvious one for anyone who
Bane.
knows me.
Yeah, Bane's a fascinating.
Even that Bane's an easy one. To say Revan would be cliche, but
I have trouble missing Revan because Revan is such an amalgamation of whatever you make of Revan.
Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like everyone loves Revan because they're like, oh, well, my Revan when I played older, it's
exactly.
It's a self-insert character, no matter who you are.
It's like saying your favorite character is Commander Shepard. What you're actually saying is my favorite character is the character that either I inserted into the game or I was able to control the story of.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's why, Revan's a cool character. I like the design a lot. That Black Series figure is still one I'm desperately trying to hunt down.
Fuck Kotar for never giving you the option to get that fucking mask, though.
True.
Yeah, that's kind of bullshit. See, that's the thing. Like, I don't have that. I don't have that with Revan, like you said, because Revan, my Revan was basically just always a dickhead. I'm getting a baby flown in.
Baby.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, no, I don't really miss Revan. I don't have that connection with Revan because exactly what you're saying. My Revan was always just a dickhead, so I don't. Well,
actually, I'm gonna backtrack on Revan because I don't really like Revan. Revan had like 3 fucking stories where he turned to the dark and back to the light.
Yeah.
And it's just like
I don't know. I don't know if it's just me, but every time I play KOTOR, it's like I spend as little time doing the Jedi stuff as possible. Like I try to blow past that in the most what? I'm a Jedi? All right, fuck, get me out of here. Sure, give me this lightsaber. All right, I'm out of here.
No, that's not me. I have played Terra so many fucking times that by the time I get to Dantooine, I'm like, thank Christ.
I appreciate. I don't even use the lightsaber. I use vibroblades whenever I play KOTOR. I just like the vibroblades.
Big shout out to the random murder mystery that they give you on Dantooine, right and smack in the middle of when you're supposed to be training to be a Jedi. That shit fucking rocks. I miss Ulick.
That's exactly it. It's like just having like a fucking detective story, and it's just like, well, I think it could be this, and meanwhile, Bastila is over here like, we should really be getting back to the temple. We got Jedi stuff. It's like, hold on, I'm cracking the case wide open. Bastila, I appreciate it, but hold on.
Shut the fuck up, I'm busy.
And the shots came in this direction. Now, if the second car hit the mark that you suggested, the killer would have to lean out of the driver's seat and shoot from here.
We should move on while we can.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hold you up like that. Forgive me. Oh, just one more thing.
That's a hallmark of BioWare games. It's just like, you have something deeply important to do right now. Why don't you go talk to this stupid European guy in the middle of your Chinese setting that's like bragging about having gunpowder over there and kick his ass.
That's almost every RPG though,
especially BioWare. BioWare revels in that shit.
Me and my Twi'lek friend, whose name I don't remember, and I feel quite bad about it. The Twi'lek companion from first KOTOR.
Oh, Mission Vale.
Yes.
Yeah.
You miss Mission?
Yeah, she was a cool character.
Zalbar was great.
Zalbar was fantastic.
Those were my primary 2 companions in that game.
Ulick Queldroma, I miss a lot.
I mean, I'm pretty basic when it comes to EU stuff. I miss it's Jason and it's Kyle. Those are my 2
Jaina.
main.
I miss
also
Jaina
miss Jaina
a lot.
I miss the twins.
Twins.
This is gonna be a bit weird, but I miss Starkiller.
I get it, but
out
I don't.
Of fucking left field Star Killer
They
is,
were-
like in the middle of the Galactic
Yeah.
Civil War era. There's just this motherfucking monster just ripping it up for no
Yeah.
reason, and
That's the thing. Like
the
that's
ridiculousness of it is
why-
what I love.
That's why I don't miss. I mean, comparatively, I miss it because it showed how fucking like it gave credence to Vader being just over the top powerful when you're watching this motherfucker bring ships down with the Force and just tearing through everybody, and then at the end of the game, Vader just stomps his ass. You know, like that.
Again,
That's the
for
one
like the
thing I
third
appreciate.
time.
Yeah. You know, like I appreciate that, but also like God, I don't miss that character at all at this point.
I don't miss the character. I just miss the revelry, the reveling in just how
Yeah.
batshit you can make a character in Star Wars for no reason
that's,
other than
He's-
it'd be fun.
Also a
Yeah.
deeply uncompelling character.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
like,
like
Fallen
I've seen
Order-
chunks of wood more fucking.
yeah.
Fallen Order was able to somehow get out of that trap where like Force Unleashed fell into the trap of like, all right, well we have to make a Star Wars game where you feel very powerful and is very fun. So they gave you this crazy overpowered character. Meanwhile, Fallen Order, you can be at the end of the game, you'll have leveled up. Yeah, you're pretty strong, but you can still get your ass kicked by a stormtrooper with a stun baton if you're not careful.
Oh, yeah,
like
if you don't know how to time your shit, you're just fucked.
yeah, like you're still gonna get fucked up by this stormtrooper with a stun baton. You know, like
Star Killer always felt like, and this happened a lot in the EU, by the way. Star Killer felt like somebody's self-insert.
Absolutely.
This happened a lot in the EU, where one writer would have one character. I mean, we've brought up Karan Horn. Karan Horn was a self-insert. Like,
well, I mean, it almost makes it funnier when we've talked way in the past in the podcast about George giving suggestions for Star Killer's Sith name, and they were deeply hilarious and terrible names, and like it almost is enough to make you think like, God, did George see what they were doing with this game and go, oh, this sucks. Here's this horrible name. Like, get this out of my face. Like,
I miss. I mean, they're canon still technically, but I miss Delta Squad so much.
Yeah.
Delta Squad is the
That's
Republic
1,000% nostalgia. Yeah,
they are still technically canon, right?
they are. They show up in one episode of Clone Wars, and we believe Scorch showed up in 2 episodes of Bad Batch, but he didn't have any lines, and he's just kind of like. He's not named or anything, but it's the same armor. He looks.
That was kind of what I was hoping for with the first season of Bad Batch, with like the way the story went. I won't give spoilers because who the hell knows, you know, if anyone's caught up on Bad Batch at this point. But I was kind of hoping like, all right, send Delta Squad in to hunt them down. That would be a really cool fucking arc, you know.
I
Be
mean,
a
we're
cool way to
getting a
bring those
second
characters
season, I
back,
think.
you know.
Yeah.
The second season's coming out soon.
I've been able to kind of get past mourning, like all the post Return of the Jedi stuff. Like, I'm fine with it. It doesn't affect me anymore. I'm past the. I'm in the acceptance phase with that. What I'm not past, because this happened recently, is God, I hate Karen Travis, but I like these books, as problematic as they are. Her Republic Commando books. Those characters can't come back. It's impossible to bring them back, and that sucks.
I still
because
have
they
to
did
sit
the
down
chip
and really read those.
because they
I
did the
would,
chips in the
yeah.
head. It's they're gone.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I want them to make another Republic Commando game. Give it over to give it over to the Battlefield team, or give it to like Bungie, you know.
Give it a Bungie.
Oh my God! If Bungie did that,
Bungie Republic Commando would rule.
Yeah.
I'm just now.
Or
shout out to Mr. Mishap. That whole like friend group I have just recently talked me into getting back into Destiny 2 for the first time in ages.
oh no.
And if Bungie, it wouldn't happen. This is a pipe dream. But if
I don't think Bungie's interested in doing licensed games.
Well, who's the team that does Halo now? As much as I don't like what they've done to
343.
Halo. Yeah, as much as I don't like what they've done to Halo, I feel like they could make a really cool Republic Commando game.
well, I feel like most of the I'm not a huge fan of 343, but I feel like most of the reason people aren't like if what they did was released as its own IP,
Yeah.
it'd be great.
Yeah,
But the fact
yeah.
that it has the Halo
You-
sticker on it is what the
Halo 5, a not good Halo game, I
Yeah.
think is proof that they could do a good Republic Commando game, though.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Halo 5 would have been a great Republic Commando game.
Yeah.
Eh,
Reskin Halo 5, it would have been a great Republic
Yeah.
Commando game.
I
you know,
don't
if
know.
you could
This-
die. If it was
I don't
possible
know
to die
about-
in that game.
Yeah.
if you
Uh,
had Republic Commando with like all the thrusters and the fuck,
This
It's
is
inevitable.
this is entirely a pipe dream. I would love to see Gearbox do a Republic Commando game.
Oh, yeah, that really
Just,
is a pipe
like,
dream.
The Borderlands mechanics, just give me fucking Republic Commando done by the Gearbox team.
Borderlands
I
is
don't-
Gearbox?
Yeah.
Shit, I never knew
I
that.
really don't like that idea.
Gearbox, I just think of shitty Halo ports. So
Borderlands 3 has I'm not a huge first person shooter guy anymore. Like I used to play the Battlefield games pretty seriously, like competitively, like ranked multiplayer and shit, but like Borderlands 3 has some of my favorite first person shooter mechanics of all time. It's just smooth as hell. The fucking shooting is great, the movement is great.
I've only played Borderlands 1, and it's a very small amount of Borderlands 1. But I don't really like the idea of that kind of RPG system attached to a shooter for Republic Commando.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying make it like a Borderlands game, like with all the
Okay.
RPG mechanics and everything. I'm just saying they've got, and the gameplay of Borderlands 1 is so very different than Borderlands 3. Like they completely overhauled movement, shooting, everything. Even Borderlands 2 is a huge jump from Borderlands 1. I love the Borderlands games. Hello, I'm Chris. I played all the Borderlands games with my wife. I just think like they would make a fantastic the RPG mechanics, I could take them or leave them. Some of the way the different characters play with like the abilities and stuff leads me to believe they could get each member of Delta Squad to feel really unique.
yeah, because they kind of just hand wavy say like, oh, they all have specialties, but they all just do the same shit.
Yeah, that's why I think Gearbox would be perfect.
While we've been sitting here, I briefly considered Obsidian because I played half of Outer Worlds, and I think that game is better than I think the reception was thought. I don't think they'd make a good Republic Commando game. The more I thought about it,
hear me out.
But
okay.
if one based on Outer Worlds, if they were going to give KOTOR to a new company, I think Obsidian would be the perfect place.
Absolutely.
Because I never expected to play that game and it feel like a BioWare game where you're putting effort into the relationships of the people around you. I bet they could make a great KOTOR game.
Are you stupid or something?
Wasn't Obsidian somehow involved in like the remake of? Yeah, Obsidian partially developed the original KOTOR.
Yeah,
they're
oh
yeah, you're right.
They
did KOTOR
from it.
Yeah,
you're
it's
right,
a chunk of the people from
they did
BioWare
KOTOR too.
originally.
They did KOTOR too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
did the second
Oh my
one.
god.
Yeah.
I'm so fucking dumb.
You said
They're
that, and I had to
also-
Google it because I couldn't remember.
Oh my god.
They
that's
also
one of the-
handled. I think they
in
handled
Vegas.
the. I think they handled the Apple port, like when they put KOTOR on like the first one on iPads and stuff. I'm pretty sure Obsidian handled that.
This is top 10 stupid moments on this
No,
podcast
I mean,
for me.
look,
this is
is
the dumbest
that
fucking...
game came out so fucking long ago. You're excused from forgetting that Obsidian was involved in one KOTOR game.
I also kind of famously forget they were involved in that because their development was so rushed that it came out as like 3/4 of a game.
I would like to put forth, circling back to Republic Commando. If you get id Softworks, I feel like that would be a solid fucking game. The new id that's doing the newer Wolfensteins and the newer Doom games. They are so good at making great gunplay. I don't know how they would do with like the team mechanics, but
hey though, id Software request make the reticules on the Doom games bigger. They give me motion sickness when they're not bigger.
You know, I would, and it's not even remotely the same anymore, and further iterations have just gotten farther and farther from it. And I know this isn't like a niche opinion. Rainbow Six, Vegas 2, one of the greatest shooters of all times. If I could get a game with those mechanics, like a Republic Commando with those mechanics where, you know, first person, but when you go into cover, it goes third person, the squad mechanics, perfect fucking game.
I never
Like,
played a Rainbow Six game.
Rainbow Six Vegas 2, greatest fucking Rainbow Six game of all time.
I own Rainbow Six Vegas 2. It's a fantastic game. I do not have the patience for it. I just don't.
Oh, that's my shit. I'm a big fan of that game. I know, again, like I said, this is not a niche opinion. This is a very popular opinion that Rainbow Six Vegas 2 is one of the greatest games ever made. You know, it's God, now I have to look into that. I feel like somebody has to have made a mod, like a Star Wars mod for that game.
Probably.
Oh, absolutely.
There's got to be a Star Wars mod for that game.
With all that being said,
thank you for coming to Star Wars games every week forever.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Hey, at least we were talking about Star Wars still, right?
Yeah.
Look, it's a rare time where we get excited talking about something and actually have like,
especially when it's relevant to Star Wars.
Yeah, let us have this one, audience. We've talked about the movies a lot this rotation.
In our second anniversary, we had at least 20 minutes of us being excited about Star Wars.
Hey, that's not bad.
Which is, oh boy, extremely rare. And I'll take us out on that particular high. This has been Star Wars Every Week Forever. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being with us for 2 ridiculous fucking years. We love y'all. Good night.
If you enjoyed that episode, why not like and subscribe? Also, share it with a couple friends. Bring them into this hellscape that we've done to ourselves. You can catch brand new episodes every single Wednesday on Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, pretty much every other platform you get your podcasts on. If you'd like to extend the suffering, you can catch us over on Twitter.com at SWEWF. We post direct links to brand new episodes every week as soon as we upload them, and you can catch the occasional other dumb Star Wars take, and who wouldn't want that? Catch you guys later.